I'm Ian Leith. I'm a trustee of the John O'Groats Mill Trust, and I suppose my basic interest in this is in the heritage and the history of this area and the building in particular.
My name is Ronald Brown. I'm chairman of the John O'Groats Mill Trust, and we've been working at the mill here since January 2017 with the idea of ensuring its preservation into the future. The Houston family here were millers since 1750, and in fact the date stone up there says 1750, rebuilt 1901. My connection is that my granny was a Houston, so I'd worked in the mill with the last miller, who was my father's cousin, since I was a little boy. I'd worked in the mill quite often right up until my 40s. You don't sort of realise at the time just what a special experience you're getting. Magnus died suddenly in 2001, which left a bit of a void, not just for the mill, but for the community. And it took quite some time for the new status quo to become established. Maybe 10 years later, there was various moves afoot to do something about the mill. Eventually, it was decided to set up the John O'Groats Mill Trust, and somebody said, well, you know the mill better than most people, you can be chairman. And I'm beginning to think there's only one way out.
The restoration of this mill, I think, is an important aspect of the county, even the country's built heritage. We have here a building that is largely intact and as it was, so we can see and develop what that history came from, where it was developed, and also in terms of just the architecture, it's important to see how these mills were built and operated. And because the mill here still operates and can be operated, we can see at first hand, I think, what the past used to look like. So we're preserving it for the future, but it's looking at the past.
This is where they got their basic foodstuffs, their oatmeal, their bear meal. And people came down here. It became a point where you met folk. You'd come down, you'd get your meal, you'd have a blether as well, and you'd probably meet somebody else there doing the same thing. And if you go back to when this mill was built, there was no such things as village halls or anything like that. There was no electric light. People lived in tiny butt-and-bend cottages. There'd be 3 generations in a cottage. So young folk in particular enjoyed any opportunity they could get to get away from under the feet of their parents. So the mill was a space where young people could meet. Say 100 years ago, that was your youth club. People would go there and there'd be all sorts of nonsense happening there of a night. It was the only place that people could go outside of their own homes. These folk memories still exist.
You know, we're showing how milling used to happen and used to work, but it produces meal that people can actually buy and use now.
It won't work commercially, but we'll work it on high days and holidays, and to keep the skills alive. It'll also be a visitor centre because we're in John O'Groats. We're right on the North Coast 500, and we think it'll be very popular. It'll also be a drop-in centre for the local community, a place for people just to meet and have a blether, to reminisce. It's got huge educational benefits as far as schools are concerned because you've got all sorts of different avenues there. Engineering, traditional skills, but we also hope that it'll be popular for a whole lot of social activities as well over the years.
The process then became difficult in some respects because we were treading into new ground for many of us in terms of finding funders and finding funding, negotiating with people, working along with other people. I think one of the strengths here too is that we, as a wider community, there's a lot of connections with other heritage groups and heritage things. So that has helped us to understand, and certainly should give a plug to the Barony Mill in Orkney in that respect, because they were able to, you know, they've been through this, so they were able to help in many ways.
A steep learning curve and also a pleasurable one. We've had to do a lot of community discussion, community exploration. If we were going to go ahead and try to preserve the mill, did the community want that? And if so, what did they want the mill to do? And we put a lot of work into that. And it's very much the community's mill. It wouldn't have happened if the community hadn't been behind it, the community hadn't said what they wanted. So it will always be the community's mill. And it will always be for the community to decide what happens to it over the years.
I think, you know, we've got something here that's unique, but yet will serve the community of the John O'Groats area economically and historically. I don't think there's any doubt that the community love this building and believe in it. So I think they will support it. But I think there is a slightly wider connection as well. You know, we've talked about other heritage organisations in the area, other heritage sites, and I think the linking of all them and the networking together will help make sure that the mill and others have a future. And certainly in terms of milling history, we're looking at doing a project to understand and develop the history of milling in Caithness, because it was quite considerable. There was, I don't know, I think there was over 20 mills in Caithness at one point in time. So there's a history to be built here, and you know, hopefully that's for the future. The mill will be a place where school children will come and learn about their past, and learn about the buildings, and learn about our built heritage, and hopefully appreciate it, and take these skills with them into the future as the rest of us disappear.
The other aspect of it is it provides a focus for our local history. We have this maritime heritage, if you like, and crofting heritage as well, which people are very, very proud of. And the mill gives a focus for that. We're a receptacle, if you like, for artifacts, but also for memories, if you like. That is very important. The other aspect of it is if you're going to have people living here, you've got to have an economy that makes them want to stay here. And the mill will provide a certain amount of employment directly, but John O'Groats relies on a seasonal tourist industry. And we have a lot of people who come to John O'Groats and tick that off and disappear, shall we say, politely, very quickly, and they don't contribute anything to the community at all. But you have to provide things that they want to see. If people take a bit longer to spend in one place, they do contribute to the local economy in a much greater way. So there's direct employment through the mill, but there's also the indirect bonus to the community's economy, making it an attractive place to stay a while.